Hello, I've been feeling a bit bad because I didn't post a video last week because I did make one and it was really good. I thought it was Irish moss and I made a lovely mousse with apricots, and then I'd left the tumble dryer on and that was really annoying because all through it you could hear this so I didn't post it. So I'm sorry I didn't do one last week. So I'm just doing an emergency one now, and I'm just going to show you literally what I've got to do right now. And this is my buckwheat and my bread, and I do this like all the time. This is my buckwheat. Buckwheaties, we actually sell these on the website, but they're like a real staple. They're really easy to make. That's this is 2 cups. I usually do 2 cups at a time, and I usually do them in these. I don't use like big sprouting jars or trays or anything like this. I just use things that have lying around, these big trays. And I've got 2 cups of buckwheat, and this has only been sprouting 3 days. It's really hot at the moment, so things sprout really fast. In the winter this wouldn't be as sprouted, but if you can see, that's got quite long tails on. That's just from 3 days. So all you do is you 2 cups of buckwheat, you need to soak it for 5 hours. If you do buckwheat for too long, it goes slimy and weird and you have to throw it away. So you just want to do it for 5 hours and then just give it a really good rinse. So cover it in water, or drain it and then cover it in water again, and then slosh it, and that gets rid of a lot of the slime. And then just drain it again. It takes like a few minutes to drain, so I usually drain it over a bowl or something, and then that's it, and then it'll be fine. And then I don't even bother to rinse them, to be honest. I just kind of play with them a bit when I'm passing, like a couple of times a day, and just give them a good toss. And yeah, there you go. And then I'm going to put them in the dehydrator and dehydrate them for about 12 hours, and then you get the crunchy buckwheaties, which we use for cereal. Lots of cereal, the boys love their cereal, and we put them in trail mixes. It's a good way to just bulk up their, to stop them having too much sweet stuff. You know, if they make a trail mix, then just put in like raisins and goji berries and mulberries and cashew nuts. That's not very balanced. So if they put something like this in, then that makes it a lot more sustaining. We put it in chocolate. It's really good in chocolate. Chocolate crispy cakes and Real Magic's one of our favourite things. And I also grind them up and use them as flour. It's a really good flour. It's especially if you don't want to use chocolate. If you're making a cake or biscuits or something and you don't want to have chocolate ones, then this is a really good way to do it. So I just put them on a dehydrated tray. So here you go, just evenly spread out on the tray. I'm just going to put those in, as I said, for 12 hours. Just over here. That much will make about 3 trays. 2 cups of buckwheat will make about 3 trays of buckwheaties. And here's some I made earlier. As I said, we sell them on our website if you can't bother to buy them. But they're just, yeah, they're really useful. They're a real staple, and they're so easy to make. There they are. Can you hear how crunchy they are? They're very crunchy. It's great. Okay, so the other thing I want to show you that I make all the time is the bread of love, the recipe, the full recipes on the website. And I usually make it about twice a week. The boys have it for breakfast, and it's about their favourite thing to have, so I can't really keep up making it. If I make a loaf, I get about 12, 13, maybe 14 slices out of a loaf, so it only really lasts a couple of days. So I've got some here. You just need 2 cups of wheat grain. I've got 1 cup of wheat grain and 1 cup of oat groats, but you can't really tell the difference in there. I had some oats that needed using up, so I did 1 of each. It's the raw living, the raw oats, because all the oats that you buy in the whole food stores aren't raw. I only use our ones because they're the only raw ones. So I've got 1 cup of each there, and I think I soaked them Monday. So I soaked them Monday day, and I should have really done them last night. That would have been optimum Wednesday night, but I didn't have time, so I'm doing it now. So they've been sprouting just like 3 days. In this heat they sprout really fast, so you can see they've got quite long tails. You don't want to leave them any longer than that, because then your bread just tastes a bit woody. So ideally when it's hot you just want 2 to 3 days, and in the winter you can make it go for like 3 or 4 days. So there we go. I'm going to show you how I make my bread. Okay, so I've got my trusty Vitamix here. Vitamix is really quite useful for this. You can just about do it in a normal food processor, but you really want one of these high-tech ones. And I've got my 2 cups of wheat, which I'm just going to pop in. So I've got a cup of wheat, cup of oats. So then I'm going to put in lucuma. I've got a cup of lucuma here, it's 100 grams. Sometimes I just use half a cup, which is 50 grams, so I'm putting in a whole cup. And then I've got half a cup of olive oil, which is really important. And a quarter of a cup of agave. And a whole cup of water. I usually just put in half a cup first. And I'm going to put in ginkgo. I usually put in some superfoods like Miraprama for energy, or ashwagandha for calmness, Heishu Wood to cheer us up. I'm putting in ginkgo today. Ginkgo helps your brain work, so I'm putting ginkgo to make them clever. I'm going to put in 2 teaspoons of ginkgo. You don't really taste it. If you just put in 2 teaspoons of these, you don't really taste it. And I'm going to blend that up. Okay, then lastly what I'm going to do is put in a couple of raisins, which I've got there. And then I just stir those in by hand. So you can see there what I've got is like it's like a dough, like I would say about the normal consistency of bread dough. You see that? It's like really thick dough. And that's it. That's all you do. I'm going to put it on the dehydrator tray. So there you can see, there's my loaf. Well, you might not call it a loaf, I call it a loaf. It's about 2 centimetres, about 1 inch high. It looks a bit thinner than that in the screen, but it's about that high. What I do is I usually dehydrate it overnight. I do this in the evening, I dehydrate it overnight, and then in the morning I'll cut it. So I'll cut it down the middle and then into slices, like along that way. So then you're halving it, and then you're getting about 7 slices usually that way. So they're kind of like fingers, like fish finger sort of size. And then I'll dehydrate it for another, usually till about lunchtime. And yeah, we usually have it with, if I haven't made anything, they have it with tahini, but I try and make either a hemp cream, so like super hemp creamy in Raw Magic, or like a chocolate spread. There's one on the website which is spread it on your bread. Yeah, and that's such a brilliant breakfast. They really love it. It's really sustaining, it's really filling. The oats and the wheat, we have a UK crop. I think that's really important. The other thing is I usually try and put the bread right in the middle of the dehydrator, like that. And you have to take the tray above it out, otherwise it will knock the top off. And I do what Gabrielle Cousins advises, and when I'm starting the dehydration, I'll turn it right up to like 9:15, sort of, you know, 145 that is on there, and I'll do that for like an hour, and then I'll turn it back down to like 115, so like 3:15. And I keep it on that overnight. But Gabrielle says that if you don't do that, there's problems. There can be problems with bacteria growing on the food if you're leaving stuff at low temperatures for a long time, and that initial blast of heat destroys the bacteria, but it doesn't actually cook it because the dehydrator is not getting that hot. So if I just leave it on for an hour, it doesn't really get that hot, but I think it helps, and it also gives it a nicer taste. It's got a bit of a nicer finish to it. So I think that's it. Okay, thank you, bye.